From late 1999 comes undoubtedly one of the greatest movie sequels of all time, and one of the greatest movie licensed video games of all time, Toy Story 2: Buzz Lightyear to the Rescue. Now, I have played this game before, but I didn't grow up with it. I loaned a copy off of a friend, and for some reason, despite being big on the collectathon genre, I can only really recall the first two levels and the alleyway, and I know that I stopped playing after that. And I think that's a shame, because all of my friends tout this as one of the greatest platform collectathon games of the era, maybe even of all time, which means it's absolute sacrilege that I've never seen it through. So, since the gang's all here, let's check it out. Developed once again by Traveller's Tales, who made the first game on Nintendo and Sega systems a few years prior. If you don't know much about that game, then I highly recommend checking out my video on it first, because trust me, Toy Story 2 is good, but you can't truly appreciate how good it is without having seen the disasters of the original. Now again, we're given story beats ripped directly from the movie as our plot devices, but this is where the game does an incredible job of expanding upon the adventure, exploring locations and scenes from the film in much greater detail, starting off with the world-renowned first level inside of Andy's house. This is just incredible. I've always been one to gush about levels where you play as a little guy walking around on countertops and stuff. Well, this is the premier example that inspired so many of them. Running around as Buzz, jumping from ceiling fans, fighting toys in the attic, searching all over the house for cash and Pizza Planet tokens. We get to meet the cast of memorable characters as well, who give us help and teach us new tricks. It's your standard 3D platforming adventure of the era it released in. This opening level especially encapsulates everything I love about the genre. The way Traveller's Tales offers you the freedom to explore and learn how to play at your own pace in such a fun and relatable map is honestly to the studio's utmost credit. It makes this not feel like baby's first video game, which I can really appreciate, as opposed to other examples like Stuart Little 2 for example, which are so hand-holdy, it strips all of the fun and brain power out of the experience. But if you want to talk about an experience, then we need to talk about the soundtrack. Now this is what I remember from my brief time playing this when I was younger. Bopping along to the neighbourhood theme, exploring gardens and climbing that massive tree. It's such a major set piece etched into my mind for all of these years. It just makes for such a fun time, and it's still a decent challenge all these years later. In comparison to Woody's limp characteristics, Buzz is a solid sound machine with tight control, slick manoeuvrability, and he can also spin around enemies like Crash Bandicoot. While Buzz is a lot of fun to control, he isn't perfect, and the stricter platforming areas really highlight this, along with the camera, which can act a little odd in both of its different settings. Thankfully, however, even if the platforming does get a bit challenging at times, the game is often generous with little shortcuts to help you quickly regain some progress if you happen to fall. You do get used to it all pretty quickly though, and it's not long before you're up to the first boss fight, which is this remote control plane that we need to shoot down. Man, that's terrifying. Now I know how all those dudes in San Andreas felt when I come flying at them with Zero's plane, blasting them into the next generation. Oh, fuck that mission. Anyway, poor little Buzz surely doesn't stand a chance against this thing, but thanks to his trusty laser, you can get the job done. I've got to say, I absolutely love that when you go first person mode for more accurate shooting, Buzz's reflection can be seen in his visor. Oh, it's so good, man. Holy shit. The level of detail for PS1 is just incredible. From here we explore everything from construction sites, alleyways, Al's toy barn, and then all the way up through the elevator shafts and into the penthouse. It's great getting to explore these places, and you feel like you're playing as a plastic toy the entire time. I normally despise construction site levels like this one. I think they're one of the most restricting in games, as they're often just a patch of dirt with some sort of awkward structure in the middle you have to climb, but while that is still the case here, I feel like it just does a much better job than most with its accessibility, and if you take your time and work with the controls you've got, this is actually a whopper stage. Every level has a mini-boss too, which is fun, and in the case of this one on top of the scaffolding, we need a special weapon that we can collect from Potato Head. I don't know why he's got heat-seeking saw blade weapons stashed up his coochie, but that's just how it be, I suppose. We get everything from weapons, orb shields to protect you from taking damage, boost shoes for racing, and later on, we even get a grappling hook which takes the platforming to the next level. And thank God it's actually decent, because after playing that last game, seeing another grappling hook made me want to hang myself from it. We unlock each of these abilities as we progress, so oftentimes you will have to go back and replay some levels to get the clean sweep, but that's fine by me because I could play this all day long. The back alleys here though, this is where I remember calling it quits when I was younger, and I can kinda see why. The structure is also a bit whack as it has two dead ends rather than, sort of a linear track or just being an open space surrounded by walls, like you would see in other games of this nature. Some of the platforming is also a bit annoying, especially once you have to come back with that grappling hook. I know I just said that it's okay, and it is okay, but this is all just a bit much for me, especially given that if you fall off here, it's one of the only times in the game where you don't get an easy shortcut back up. And the boss fight for this area is also not that great. It's just some green goo guy that you need to spam your attacks with. The regular enemies are bad enough for that, I think. While you can hold the button to charge up your attack power, that leaves you prone to taking damage, so I just mash the button until things die, which feels redundant anyway, as every single level has this power-up which grants you an instant kill laser. So, what's the point? Just give me the powerful laser from the start so we can get on with it. And it's around here somewhere that I actually stopped playing this when I was younger, which is really weird because seeing it now, I can't for the life of me figure out why I decided to stop, but that means that from this point on in the game, everything is absolutely fresh to me, so I can't wait to see what else this game has to offer. Owl's Toy Barn is one of the areas I was most looking forward to, given it's such an iconic scene within the movie, offering an environment ripe for exploration, adaptation, and parody within the video game universe. Unfortunately, I'm not that big on it. There are some cool moments, don't get me wrong, and design-wise I love it. The challenges were all just a bit lacking for me. This all continues on into the space section of the store, where we just sort of clamber all over the place doing the same thing. You'd expect to see evil Buzz Lightyear be the ending boss for this part of the game, and while he is here, he's just a mini-boss within the actual level, which is kinda lame, I'm gonna be honest. He tries to run you down on his little, Mars rover dealy, and it doesn't take much to stay out of his way, so, if that's the mini-boss, then what's the actual boss? Well, it's some giant spaceship thing with a shower of lasers spitting enemies out at us, and man, this sucks. This is honestly bad. Definitely the worst part of the game so far for me. I just get blitzed the entire time. I can't find a safe spot to stand and get any hits in, and when I finally take the damn thing out, it feels more like a fluke than an actual accomplishment. I feel like, much like in many games it seems, that it tends to start falling off around the halfway mark, which is disappointing. I understand that it's important for games to put their best foot forward and hook the players in, but it just seems like so many games tend to blow their load a little bit early, rather than, saving it for a big payoff at the end, so to speak. I still want to keep playing, but I'm starting to feel like, my batteries are draining a bit. How do you feel, Buzz?
Alright, running laser diagnostics.
Seems like I'm not the only one running out of battery life.
It's a secret mission in uncharted space.
Okay, never mind, he's still operational, so let's keep powering through. I think for me, this game actually needed to take some notes from the previous 16-bit title. Yeah, for real. It was a wild blur, but there was decent variety. It had platforming, chase scenes, racing, hell, it had a first-person maze. I'm definitely not asking for this to have been filled with shitty vehicles or anything, but perhaps instead of a lame goo boss, make the highway crossing scene into a boss fight instead of just being lazy and showing me a cutscene of it. I mean, hell, look at Frogger and Freeway from back in the day. It's the same concept. Just do this with the toys, or just something to mix things up. I will say that I can appreciate that each level has its own identity, the elevators and vents especially, with lots of cramped vertical exploration, but man, this level can be a bitch. The jumps are tough. Not bad necessarily, just really tough. And wrapping your head around how to navigate this place... you know what? Scratch what I just said. This game does actually have a maze level, and I can't figure it out. I keep falling and falling, and then having to climb all the way back up is such a slog. Man, I hate this level. I'm keen to get on to the next one. Oh god, how have I not mentioned the level selection screen yet? This is incredible. I love that it looks like Andy has drawn a picture of his neighbourhood, and it's animated too, with so many little details, until you get up to Al's apartment. Man, maybe he should have spent more of his money on some furniture. Jesus Christ, buddy. Talk about male living spaces. Real talk though, this grown-ass adult having fun collecting things that he's passionate about, it's kinda based. Very based, actually. Collecting things to never enjoy them, or solely to make a profit, however, that's just sad, and I hate you. This was the other level that I was most looking forward to playing, with the Wild West theme, and a tune so damn strong that it could have made the cut for Red Dead Redemption. While this level does return to the format of Andy's house, running around countertops and such, which I do love, I won't lie, I was a bit let down when I got up to this part. You know, I was expecting a Western-themed adventure, and what I got was a pretty bland-looking apartment. There is lots of large empty rooms that serve a single purpose, while the only part of the map actually themed to represent this area in the movie is tucked away into a little corner and so cramped that the camera likes to get stuck on things. It was a real letdown. Don't get me wrong, the game itself as a whole is still good, but I really did expect more from this. If you look at Disney's Extreme Skate Adventure, they turned Andy's Room and Pizza Planet into functional video game levels that still represent their original designs quite accurately. And once again, here is another lost opportunity to mix up the gameplay late into the game. Could we not have played as Woody for a little bit in this? Even if he was just, I don't know, riding around on Bullseye or something? I'm thinking along the lines of Crash Bandicoot when I say this. How cool would it have been to see something like that, just to mix things up instead of giving me the same old crap? Look, I can't lie, but I'm starting to get a bit bored of the game at this point. And that's something that I really did not want to be saying in this video, because I feel like people will tear my head off in the comments section, but I can't help it. The wind is just mostly gone from the sails at this point. And I feel like that's kind of an unpopular opinion. I don't know, what do you guys think?
Greetings, I am Buzz Lightyear. I come in peace.
I like to play guitar.
I know, sounds strange, but don't worry.
You're my
Everything's fine.
favorite deputy.
Fear is not in my vocabulary.
Hey, howdy, hey, I am looking
Maybe we
good.
should check the trash again.
My name's Woody.
Let's go say some toys.
I wish Mum and Dad wouldn't fight so much.
Here's all we've got.
Anyway, it's time for the Zurg boss fight on the elevator.
Destroy Buzz Lightyear! Destroy Buzz Lightyear!
This place needs my protection.
Honestly, that sums up this battle perfectly. Could they not have designed an actual fight with waves of attacks for one of the coolest looking villains ever made instead of just this? He put up more of a fight in the skateboarding game, for Christ's sakes. How did they fail him so bad? We're near the end of the game now because the final two stages take place in the airport. You know, they could have totally added in a quick driving stage before all of this. I mean, even if it was just an on-rails kind of thing, that would have honestly been better and more faithful to the source material, I think. And that's where licensed games based on movies really started to die off, because it leaves developers handcuffed. If you follow the movie too strictly, then it's bad. If you don't follow it enough, then it's also bad. Strict and linear, bad. Open and obscure, also bad. Look, all in all, this still has been one of the best examples of how to do a game on a pre-existing form of media, but it's not perfect, which is what I've heard on repeat over the years. This level on the luggage conveyors is monumental, with some ridiculous platforming across all areas of the map. It can be a head-scratcher at times, I'll admit. I couldn't find a few things that I was looking for, but this is a solid final level, and kicking the shit out of Stinky Prospector is fun. Again though, your main villain as a mini-boss within the level, yeah, that's an odd decision. Unfortunately though, it's not over yet, because I was expecting to see an end chase with Buzz and Bullseye running down the plane on the tarmac. I know the Game Boy port included this scene, but instead we get this wide, barren void of a final level. And it fucking sucks. Look at this, it looks like shit, made even worse by the limited draw distance. There is very little to see or do, and what is here is astronomically busted. I actually hate this level. It almost ruined the entire game for me. Whatever this light switch puzzle is supposed to be, man, I just noped out and tried everything until something finally worked. It's really bad, man. If they just ended on the previous level, then it would have been fine, but they pushed it over the edge. And finally, the last boss of the game is the Prospector Showdown. But I already kicked his teeth in, so what could possibly be left?
Howdy, Space Ranger!
Oh, okay, so we just have to fight 3 mini-bosses that we've already defeated all at the same time. Wow, that is really weak. Buzz's spin attack comes in real good here, and the game is over before you know it. Woody is saved, Buzz and Jessie fuck, and then we get the cursed love child known as Toy Story Mania, which is a whole bunch of bullfuck I'm not even gonna get into today. Now just look at this mess the two of you have made. Ugh. This is why you're going back on the side of the road, Jessie. I'm sick of your shit. Look, all in all, I can't complain too much. While some aspects fell off for me personally, I can't deny that this is still a must-play experience overall. The fun, charming levels, killer soundtrack, and nostalgic vibes here really are the selling point. It's a showcase on how to make a great and memorable game that also includes a few harsh lessons on what not to do at the same time. Would it have been so well respected and beloved had it not been associated with the greatest success in animated film at the time? Probably, yeah, there's a chance for that. Slap this quality of design onto any platformer mascot and you've got yourself a solid game. I'm going to give Toy Story 2 a 7 out of 10, because I'm feeling a little generous today. The later levels really did sour me on the experience, but having said that, the game's positives certainly outweighed its few flaws. And if you haven't played this one yet, then don't waste your time like I did, and check it out ASAP. Now, just like the Toy Story game on 16-bit systems, Buzz Lightyear to the Rescue also got a Game Boy port, which I have a short review covering exclusively over on Patreon. So if you like the idea of getting a few extra content nuggets each month, as well as early access to new videos, then head on over and sign up if you think I've earned it. But until next time, I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, then be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and share with your friends on social media. I'm Eyed Jak, and I hope you have a great fucking day. Thanks for watching.